And we are live. Back again, coming at you with some tech news. Let's tech about that. Speaking of tech news, there wasn't any this week.
Yeah.
So, or last week, I should say. This week just started. I've started adding some stuff to the Google Doc on Sundays now.
On Sundays?
Yeah, on Sundays. So I can do it before the work week starts. But unfortunately, obviously there's no articles being written on Saturday or Sunday, so I still have to go back Monday and add some more. But this week there wasn't really much. I think I added I don't think I even added a single article today. All my articles are from Sunday, so from last week. And you've added
two
from this. Ooh, spitty phones. We got a lot of phones to talk about, for better or worse.
It's good for better.
You haven't seen the phones I put in there. We've got Windows 12 greater than Windows 10? ?
Oh, Windows 12 will always be better than 10. Vista will always be better than XP.
I also saw something.
Better than 7.
I also saw something about the iPhone 9. I don't think I posted the article in here, but I was confused because didn't the iPhone 10 just come out?
11, right?
Maybe it is the 11. But I saw something about an iPhone 9, which that kind of confused me. I probably should have thrown that article in, but I did not. So, like I said, Windows 12 versus Windows 10. Yay, updating Windows 10 led to some blue screen of death because Windows.
Hey.
Pixel 5 prototype leak. Some people are getting shivers sent down their spine, according to this article.
Call it the Pixel V.
Yeah. Going with those Roman numerals. Nah, Google's pretty simple and straightforward, you know. Thank you. Thank you, Google. The dual-screened menace with only one screen. A new smartphone. I came up with that title. It's
So is it like a flip phone?
You'll see.
It's worse. Like.
It's worse than a flip phone. Or different than a flip phone.
This one I can believe.
VR's future is in arcades?
I think so.
Probably in arcades, but probably also in people's homes.
I think they'll be in arcades for like 10 years.
Okay, before they become kind of mainstream.
Same way video games happened.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Nikola Motors unveils a hybrid fuel cell concept truck. It does not look like the Cybertruck.
It has one cell that's both gas and battery in the same block.
It's a hydrogen-powered truck, actually. That kind of fuel cell.
That's dangerous.
Yeah. And Nikola Motors is also in a lawsuit with Tesla right now about Tesla's semi-truck design, which is the 18-wheeler, of course. Or the, front part of the 18-wheeler. The big rig, you could say. Macs now get infected more than Windows computers. PCgamers.com says. They might be biased.
They're very biased.
It's not Mac gamers. Not coming from Mac gamers. It's coming from PC gamer. Nice music there.
Thank you. I stole it from someone else.
Flip phones are so 2020. Time to get a spinny phone. So that's the one that you added. So yes. You must be actually excited about that.
It's pretty cool. I think you'll be more excited once you see the article.
Okay. Yeah. Hopefully so, because I'm not excited right now.
And our spinny phones.
Our 9th article, there's a 9th tab, but it's just blank. So I guess that's it.
Guess we only got 8.
Linux-based Windows 12 Lite. This article I actually saw just after the end of our stream last week and immediately added it. It was the earliest an article. Actually, I take that back. It's not the earliest an article has ever been added to the doc, because there was one week we had too many topics that before our stream was over, we'd already overflowed some of our topics to the next week.
Okay.
Obviously, that wasn't last week because last week we didn't have a ton to talk about.
Yeah.
And this week we have slightly less to talk about.
Okay. So I've actually heard about several different variants of Windows Lite.
Okay.
This is the first time I've heard it called Windows 12.
Ooh.
I could get behind it.
What is the purpose? That it can run on lower performance computers, or just less overhead, or less disk space? Because I know Windows takes like 60 gigs or something.
It's a stupid amount. Yeah. I think the biggest benefit is that it doesn't take as much to just run it. So like you can play VR and run Windows updates. And not Windows updates or VR.
Because they're so intensive, yeah.
That's the worst part, is that every time Windows wants to do something, you are no longer allowed to do anything.
Gotcha.
I guess we could share the falling behind here. But otherwise, I mean, it would be great if it had less telemetry data going through it.
Okay.
Like a Windows 12 private edition.
But Windows 10 already has that as well, right?
You can turn it off.
Okay.
But it does get turned back on sometimes.
Gotcha.
I find that to be annoying.
According to the accompanying information, this is from betanews.com. According to the accompanying information, this operating system promises seamless upgrades that won't happen when you're trying to work, which is nice. It's immune from viruses and ransomware. I doubt that. And you can run it alongside Windows 7 or 10. So it's like a dual boot thing?
So down here, I guess we can go back. The paragraph says, sounds too good to be true. Well, it might not be a surprise to hear that that's not an official Microsoft product. Rather, Linux Lite 4.8 LTS.
Oh, interesting. With a Windows 10 wallpaper and flat icons. And all of the above claims are ridiculous nonsense. What? Is it April 1st?
No. Let's click on the official website. See what happens.
So it's not April Fool's Day. So these are images. Linux Lite.
Italian car. Bayview. Waterfall. Whatever you pronounce that.
So you can see, obviously, the taskbar on the bottom looks similar to Windows-ish, I guess.
Yeah, not terribly far.
It's at the bottom.
Yeah.
Unlike Mac. Wow.
But then they call it Linux Lite. This is the world's best operating system.
Huh.
It requires 1 gigabyte of space.
This is mildly suspicious. Read the first comment on the article.
We got
Back to the article. Pure gold.
It is. Stupid article, bro. I'd agree with you.
Yeah. This and the second comment on that thread says, on your Google News, on the 3-dot button under the article, hide stories from Beta News. You'll thank me later. People who publish this kind of stuff should not get the clicks again. The next comment, you are a hero. So, yeah, I'm look into it before you install it, is all I'm going to say.
You know what else you should look into before you install them?
Windows 10.
Windows 10 updates.
Unfortunately, you don't always have the choice.
From a source just as reliable as Beta News, Forbes.com says, warnings issued for millions of Microsoft Windows 10 users. So everyone knows that you can still get Windows 10 for free. No matter how hard they're trying, I think it's going to stay a free operating system.
For free to upgrade, right?
Yeah.
Apparently there was a bug or a patch last week that caused a lot of people to have blue screens of death, which is not good. Not the intended intended features they were upgrading.
They forgot that this wasn't Windows 7.
Yeah, they meant to throw the blue screen of death on Windows 7, but accidentally pushed that to Windows 10. Whoopsie. But apparently it's been fixed for good, whatever that means.
Until the next update.
Until the next update.
Pixel 5 prototype.
So we've talked a lot about the Pixel 3a. Talked a little bit about the Pixel 4. But I don't think we've talked about the Pixel 5 yet.
I don't believe we have.
But This prototype leak is sending shivers down the internet's spine.
Can I ask why?
You can certainly ask why. Can I answer that? Not yet. I will say that the camera bump or camera section thing looks very different from what I've seen before.
Yeah.
The little horseshoe shape.
I'm not against it.
I'm not against it. I kind of like that it's on the center of the phone.
I almost prefer centers over the corner.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how having it on the corner would be maybe cool to like.
The one benefit of it being in the, well, mine's also in the center, so that's useless.
Yeah, mine's in the center.
The one benefit of it being in the corner is you could hold it with 2 hands and it would poke out above your fingers.
True. Okay.
But then I also didn't realize mine was in the center until just now.
Yeah, so you've never really had a problem with it.
It's never once been a problem with it being in the center.
I like the symmetry, though.
Yeah.
Of it in the center.
Oh, I think the back looks great from the top half of it.
I have seen a few Pixel 4s.
There is still a button on this one.
Okay.
They haven't gotten rid of their buttons yet. Apple.
I have seen the Pixel 4, and one thing that I don't really like is that the corners of the screen are slightly curved.
Okay.
Which probably isn't a big deal when you're actually using it.
Mine are curved too.
Are they? Okay.
If I can have an ID.
Oh, I see that. Interesting. Okay, because mine are...
Yeah, that one's really curved.
Yeah. Curved in kind of a triangular way.
Yeah.
Kind of shattered. Yes, so unlike my phone, this phone is going to have buttons.
Yeah. I've never liked the curved, but the curved corners is nothing in comparison to how annoying the curved screen is.
Gotcha.
Curved screen is the worst design since the flip phone.
So this is just a leak. We're still like 6 months away from this phone actually releasing, so you never know what could change.
Picture, I like it.
Yeah.
Dual screened menace.
Yes. It's not a flip screen. It's a stinking sliding screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's the bezel? They do a really good job of hiding it.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work because if you look at the very first image on the screen, I mean, if it slides in, where does the screen go? Does it like whoosh,
right
fold up underneath it or something?
Or it might
or maybe there's
slide like a case.
Yeah.
It definitely looks photoshopped on this one though.
Yeah, it looks way too smooth. And this is TCL, which we've talked about TCL before. It's something about, like, let me Google it again. TCL. It's a Chinese company, I believe.
I like that idea, though.
It's something new.
I don't think it's the way to the future. I think having mechanical parts is not a solution. I think that's going to fail.
Telephone Communication Limited. It's a Chinese company, which we've talked about them before. I don't remember what we were talking about before. Maybe it was another flip phone.
They do cheap TVs.
Okay, gotcha. Did you see a price on this phone? Because that would be kind of interesting.
Sub 500? Nope, that's something else. Nope, no pricing. Or no dollar sign.
Yeah, no dollar sign. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that works. I think that flip phone is probably going to be more reliable than slidey phone.
Yeah.
Another benefit of flip is that with sliding you can have, I would think, more grit getting in between. Like if you have dust or something, it could potentially get inside of a sliding mechanism. Whereas bending, I mean, it could maybe, but it could be closed off.
It did with the Moto Razor. Jerry rig everything.
Okay, gotcha.
I believe that's who did the
I think I saw a
test.
video about that. Yeah.
The screen was plenty far. He was putting gravel inside of it.
Wow. That's not good.
But it was clear that the Razor had a good idea, but it wasn't it's not going to be good enough for people.
Okay, gotcha. Speaking of not good enough for people yet, VR's future is in arcades, not the living room. And we've seen it in action. This article coming from Tech Radar.
I could believe it.
Well, there already are VR arcades out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. With popular games like Beat Saber, probably Super Hot. Probably some other games too. Some other popular games. I'm not too caught up on the VR train yet, but
I have no idea. I've never been to a VR arcade.
VR arcade, not VR arcade. Nice. Ooh.
But I think instead of them calling them arcades, I see them more as like a laser tag alternative.
Gotcha.
So instead of it being just a small room,
Mm-hmm.
it would be like a giant warehouse-sized room that was completely open.
Gotcha. That would be cool. The downside of that financially would be that you'd have to charge a fair bit to make any profit because you've got a lot of floor space with not a ton of people in there. Although you have the same situation with laser tag.
But it would be multiplayer, so it wouldn't be just like one or two. You'd
Gotcha.
have like 8 or 12 or 15 people. And like they would be playing paintball or something.
They would be playing paintball in VR, but in real life they're also moving around.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a lot cheaper, I would assume, per round basis.
Yeah, because you're not buying paintballs or whatever. Laser tag's probably pretty cheap, but the equipment probably costs something too. Not that VR's equipment is super cheap either.
But otherwise, the one thing I don't think will work about this VR arcades would be germs.
Yeah, because you're putting the thing on your face.
One thing I'm really bad about is sweating.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to do is touch
someone else's face sweat on your face.
Yeah. And even if we do change even the full mask, so it's a whole different rubber pad that goes on our face, it still smells like there's sweat. It's still nasty.
I can see that. And it looks like this article is mainly pointing out the free roaming ability if you're in a bigger arcade like you're talking about. Whereas VR will definitely become mainstream, in my opinion. It will definitely become mainstream over the next 10 years or so in people's houses.
Yeah. More than a sliding phone will.
Yeah, definitely more than the sliding phone will. Flip phone, maybe, but sliding phone, ain't got me there yet.
I think a rolling phone would be more plausible than a flipping phone.
Rolling phone would be nice, especially if it could be built sturdy enough that you didn't have to worry about breaking it at all.
Yeah.
Like if it was more of a rubbery type material, although that might not be pleasant to swipe on and interact or whatever. But
I was thinking, so it'd be almost like a tube, and then you could just pull it out and it would stay out, and then you pull it and it would snap back in.
Oh,
but
okay.
The end would seal it, so then you'd have just a solid.
Gotcha. So kind of like those slap bracelet things that roll up.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, but it would be a phone, obviously.
Yeah, but yes.
And when it rolls up, it'd be sealed up.
Like a film canister with film.
Gotcha.
So the film would come out.
Gotcha.
But then it would snap back in.
Oh, gotcha.
Because then the end of the phone, you could seal it off.
Mm-hmm.
So stuff can only get in there while the phone's open.
Yeah. And as long as you have some way to clean it out, even if it's just blowing air through it, with an air compressor. One thing that VR does have to do before the roaming thing happens is more VR that's tether free without the cables, which there's already some VR sets without the tethers, but maybe, I don't know, do VR headsets usually have replaceable batteries?
So you can get a battery pack, and then you just detach it, and you just put a new battery on.
So rather than having a lot of headsets that are constantly charging, you could have batteries that are constantly charging, which is way cheaper than buying a headset. Yeah.
That would have to be the way you do it.
But as the price of nice computers and the price of VR headsets come down, it will come to the more mainstream use. But this is definitely one thing that would have to be in VR.
Because
A VR arcade.
I would go to a VR arcade simply to play with VR with somebody else.
Yeah.
And not just online VR with a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, we got 6 hours to burn. Let's go play VR together.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool.
Rather than, let's watch me play VR. That'll get so exciting.
Yeah. For 6 hours,
Yeah. So this hybrid fuel cell.
Yes.
Say.
This is Nikola Motors, not to be confused with Tesla, even though obviously the name is from the same dude. Nikola Motors just unveiled their concept truck with a 600-mile range.
Which is super misleading.
Which is pretty misleading, actually, because you do need to fill up on hydrogen cells or whatever, however you fuel a hydrogen cell-powered vehicle. And apparently there aren't many hydrogen cell charging or whatever fill stations in the U.S., even in states like California, it says. And they're also offering a electric-only version, which has a range of 300 miles. Obviously, if you saw the picture when he scrolled down, it looks more like a traditional truck.
Yep.
Which I think a lot of people will go towards a more traditional truck.
I thought that looked like a Dodge.
It really does, yeah.
I saw that, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it really looks pretty
With a light
standard. Yeah, it still has kind of a sleek look and nice flashy lights.
Looks like a 3D render.
Yeah, probably is. Well, it is. It's called the Badger, which is a pretty cool name, I guess, as far as car names go, or truck names in this case.
I don't think I would drive a truck called the Badger.
The Badger.
We have a silent electric truck.
The Badger. Also goes from 0 to 60 in approximately 2.9 seconds, which is comparable but not quite as fast as the Cybertruck. But the article also mentions the one major issue is the availability of hydrogen stations compared to battery charging stations. Since Tesla kind of has gotten in the market for a while, there are a lot of Tesla charging stations around, whereas there aren't any fuel cell stations.
How do you feel about the EU making universal phone charging cable, but yet there's not a universal car charging cable?
We could just use USB, and you'd have to wait for a year for your car to charge.
It has to be USB 2, so it's backwards compatible.
Yeah.
We can't use the new standard yet. It's not old yet.
I disagree that the EU should have ever done that in the first place.
Yeah.
Because I think that companies should have the freedom to use whatever port they want to use.
And the
consumer cannot buy it because your charging cable costs $30.
Or none of your friends.
And your phone costs $1,000. But anyway, that's just me. So I wouldn't support the U.S. saying, hey, you guys all have to use the same charging cable. Although...
Wireless charging. It's the future.
Wireless charging, yeah.
And thankfully, they are all still using the same wireless charging.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So like, there's versions. Like there's quick charge 2,
okay,
quick charge
gotcha.
3.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're all compatible.
Okay.
So you put a 1 on a 3 or 3 on a 1.
And it'll just charge at the slower rate.
Yeah, whatever the slower one is, it charges at. Pretty nice. That's how it should have been from the beginning, USB.
Yeah.
They should have all just been compatible.
Yeah, USB is bad enough. And then you got Apple's chargers, just to add on to it. And Nikola Motors has also been in the news with their lawsuit with Tesla. This actually started a long time ago. Nikola Motors is suing Tesla because they say Tesla copied the design for their semi-truck. And you can see the image there. The one on the left is the Nikola 1, and the one on the right is the Tesla Semi. They said they copied the wraparound windshield because apparently it hasn't been done on a semi-truck before. And then I think there was 1 or 2 other things.
It also has headlights. It also has wheels.
Wheels. Yep.
The colors are very bland. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. And of course, Tesla says it's patently obvious there is no merit to this lawsuit, which I kind of tend to agree with. And then Nikola Motors says we are simply defending our intellectual property. The lawsuit speaks for itself because they have a few patents, whereas Tesla supposedly doesn't have any patents for this semi-truck, which is kind of surprising to me. But yeah, I mean, they're a semi-truck. All semi-trucks are more or less going to look the same. Yeah. And all the electric trucks seem to have like the smooth little rounded bezels. So
I couldn't even tell you what the brand name is of the 18-wheelers that I drive by every day.
Yeah. I don't know either.
I have no idea what logo is on there. Not a clue. If I saw these two drive side by side, I still wouldn't know which one's which. I'm like, oh, that's one of them electric.
One of the, I know it's electric. Yeah. You can see by the curves. So probably that won't end up coming to anything, but they might settle out of court for like $20 or something. You know, you know how big companies do.
Yeah.
Speaking of big companies, this video is sponsored by Jmart Media, a small company with a small amount of subscribers, and Nephew Tech,
a small company with a little bit less subscribers.
Just a little bit.
Give or take.
Give or take a couple orders of magnitude or whatever the heck they're called.
Whatever those things are.
A couple digits.
So one cool thing I meant to grab you on was with the hybrid fuel cell concept.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you watched the video of Marcus Brownlee and Bill Gates for their 2020 talk.
No, I didn't.
It's going to stay muted. But at one point, they talk about the range of electric vehicles.
Okay.
And so Marcus asks, like, how do you look at the natural gas and such or gas to fuel cars?
Mm-hmm.
And then Bill Gates goes, the amount of energy that you're transferring with gasoline from the fuel pump to the car is very dense energy, 30 times more dense than the current lithium batteries, and now a factor to improvement. Oh, and so it's 30 times, according to Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Gas is 30 times more
energy dense. Yep. So there's actually a video that I watched recently from Engineering Explained. I can find the video right now, hopefully. And in this video, he has a gallon of water or a gallon of milk, and he also has a lot of cans of LaCroix.
I saw that.
And the gallon of water represents a gallon of gas, and the table of LaCroix represents the battery cells.
I do remember seeing that, yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Well, there he goes. Hello, everyone. I will post this
number 9
as number 6. So probably if you see the thumbnail or whatever. Oh, this might be a different video, but in one video he talks about why gasoline engines are still, why they still have a place and why companies are still developing them. And then he has a separate video which talks about more about the density of the it's gonna be loud. The density of the
here it is.
Yeah,
gasoline energy density is 12,400 watt hours / kilograms. I don't know.
Oh, per kilogram, probably.
Per kil. Okay, wow.
Yeah.
And then batteries are 240 watt hours.
So this is talking about, I guess, weight.
The actual weight. That's crazy. Oh, well, there's the numbers for you. I was like, why are you seeing it?
And currently, that's the big deal, is the range on electric cars. But he also goes into, in one of the videos, to talk about the efficiency between each model. So how much actual wattage gets put to the wheels. And the electric vehicles, in some way, are way more efficient
in that regard.
So even if, say you have 1 watt hour of electric energy in your car, it can go further than 1 watt hour of gasoline in your car.
Okay, that makes sense.
The electric will go further. And that's where the MPGE, miles per gallon equivalent, comes from. It's not like the price or anything. It's just per watt hour.
Yeah. I guess
per the same amount of watt hours in a gasoline.
With the motor spinning the wheel versus an engine that has to do multiple
and
cycles.
Probably lets off a lot of extra heat because a lot of the energy, I'm sure, goes into heat, which isn't used unless it's the winter and you're heating your car.
Yeah. That's true, because energy burn is literally heat.
So even though there's less density in an electric battery compared to gasoline, the energy that is there is more efficient, or can be more efficiently transmitted into like forward motion.
Okay.
And if that makes sense. But gasoline still has the advantage.
Yeah.
Like
by 30 times.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see how that works. And as you start getting faster and less aerodynamic, that you get less and less range because you need a bigger and bigger battery, which just results in a heavier and heavier truck.
Yep. Makes sense.
So for something like a truck that's traveling long distances, like a semi truck that's traveling long distances, it might not be make quite as much sense as something like a city bus that's traveling shorter distances, can charge at the bus depot, and is traveling at slower speeds.
It's almost like electric vehicles were made to be town cars.
Yeah, they can be used for a different purpose, yeah. And they each kind of shine in their own space. Electric cars are pretty cheap to fuel. But
average city bus mile
MPG?
per day.
Miles per day.
Each bus travels roughly 81 miles in one day.
Wow. I travel slightly less than that, but I'm not driving all day. I drive for like an hour a day and travel about half that.
So
probably.
If only half the buses are being used, then they travel about 160 miles. So I guess that just depends on how big of a fleet they have for that day.
Makes sense, yeah.
So you could definitely have an electric bus.
Yeah. And you can charge at stations too.
Yeah. I wonder if you can do charging at bus stations. Like some bus station where they sit for 15 minutes or so? Like the main ones?
I don't know about the mini ones, but at the main bus depot,
they could definitely
probably,
do it
there. Yeah. I mean, they must, really.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Not really a choice.
Like, they have to charge. It'll be interesting to see where electric cars go in the next decade or so. And where their stocks go. Because Tesla's stock's been kind of shot up. It shot up for a while last week and then dropped again. I'm not sure where it's at right now.
This article's just for you, Mac fanboy.
Woo! Go Mac.
Over at PC Gamer, where no clickbait has ever been found. Macs are now twice as likely to get infected by adware than PCs, according to
research.
It's
not in quotes, but we can throw it in quotes.
So a Malwarebytes report, which I even use Malwarebytes.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I really like them.
That surprises me.
Their report, though, says threats to Mac computers increased exponentially, even the last year compared to Windows PCs. So even though it increased, I would argue, so the full report details an over 400% rise in overall Mac-related threats for consumers and businesses. Mm-hmm. I feel like one of the problems with this research article, I don't know, what do they call it? Reports?
Yeah.
Is that it's for people who use Malwarebytes. And a lot of times, the only people that use Malwarebytes are people who've already been infected.
So they're more likely to...
It's not like Avast or AVG or Norton or Kaspersky or McAfee, the ones that everyone knows the name of.
Yeah.
Malwarebytes is one of those like, wow,
I
didn't know this was a thing.
Gotcha.
And so I'm curious if that part of the rise is because people are now...
installing it.
Yeah.
own Macs.
It's finally getting its name out. Like Bitdefender, which I think runs off the same engine, I believe.
Gotcha. Because if nobody has it installed, then obviously Malwarebytes can't detect any viruses. But if suddenly a lot of people are installing it, then they'll notice more. Then Malwarebytes will notice more.
I'm curious if that has anything to do with it versus it just actually being a rise. And
well, you don't have to worry about that one.
Yeah.
Oh. Fancy.
Over at Engadget, you can make your own. Not buy it. Make your own rotary cell phone.
That looks like a router.
It kind of does.
A rotary router where you have to type in the IP before the packets get sent.
You gotta type in every packet.
192.168.
Yeah, it's an analog router.
Wow. $240 do-it-yourself kit. It's effectively a throwback to the days when phones were there for calling and nothing else. It definitely is interesting to me in terms of do-it-yourself. Because back in the day, like last year, I began attempting to build my own smartphone, and that ended quickly.
Too many obstacles?
Too many obstacles and not enough time.
A couple cool things about this phone is it has a 2.1-inch e-paper display.
Oh, nice. So you can read it in bright sunlight.
Yeah. And then the battery is estimated to last 24 hours.
Okay. That's pretty much the perfect time.
You don't really need to last more than 24 hours, especially if it's a rotary phone.
Yeah.
That battery has to be tiny.
Yeah.
We can see what this kit looks like. I haven't actually clicked over onto the kit. I don't even see the battery.
You have to do some shopping if you're going to have a rotary cell phone of your own. The kit only includes the main board and the 3D printed housing. You'll have to buy everything else. And that might be tricky when timeline rotary dials aren't exactly common.
And then it actually gives you a list here. This DIY project and the builder must supply the following components. A very specific Western Electric rotary dial described here with a link.
Gotcha.
On the display, 1.2 amp hour battery. So 1,200.
About a third of the size of
a
a general smartphone, which this is not a massive smartphone either.
Yeah.
Looks a lot smaller than that rotary phone. A lot thinner anyway.
So $240. Is that's only
I think that's only the kit.
That's only this.
The main board and then the housing on the left and
3D
right.
printed housing.
Some screws.
Then you have to go and buy all of this. A very specific Western Electric rotary dial. I like the wording.
Oh, I love the comment on this Engadget article too. We've got some good comments today. The first comment, and actually the only comment on the Engadget article, is $240. Do they think old people are stupid? Okay.
Just not.
Oh, there are more comments actually.
4. There are 4 comments.
For those who find even basic flip phones to be too much of a hassle, because punching the numbers in and hitting send is less of a hassle than rotating the dial back and forth for each number. Yep. Well, it rotates itself back to the start, so you've got that going for you. These comments are pretty nice.
Nice people.
I'm glad they gave us some content.
The news sure didn't. Well, I mean, we made it 45 minutes.
That's pretty good on 9 articles.
We're learning to talk.
We're learning to talk. Learning to talk English.
Very good.
We English good.
We English. So, okay, we're done. That's all I got.
That's all I got.
Till next week.
Let's talk about that.